Today I will discuss why do BGP neighbors toggle between idle, connect, and active states. So we have idle, connect, active, open sent, open confirm, and established. So in this video, we are going to discuss, or I'm actually going to lab the possible issues that you would encounter while trying to establish BGP neighborship between routers. So in this case, R1, I have R1 in AS 400 and I have R2 in AS 400. So in this case, we are trying to establish a establish a IBGP peering between R1 and R2. And of course, there's actually a loopback address. So this is the IP address on R1 on this interface, and I have a loopback that and I have loopback 0 on R2 as well. So yeah. So now I'm going to um, demonstrate, or let me actually talk about these possible reasons to prevent BGP neighborship uh, from getting established. So one is the neighbor statement is incorrect. No routes. Number two is no routes to the neighbor address exist, or the default route is used to reach the peer. And number three is the update source command is missing under BGP. And a typing error resulted in the wrong IP address in the neighbor statement or the wrong autonomous system number. So you need to check your configurations. And this here, Unicast is broken due to one of these reasons. So wrong virtual circuit mapping in an asynchronous transfer mode ATM or firm relay environment in a highly redundant network. And access list is blocking the unicast or TCP packet. And network address translation is running on the router and is translating that unicast packet. Layer 2 is down. And number 6 is the lack of the ebgp-multihop command is a common mistake that keeps peers from appearing, or uh, keeps peer keeps keep BGP peering from establishing. I'm actually going to only lab these first three. So neighbor statement is incorrect and no routes to the network address, and the update source command is missing under BGP. And of course, number one is network statement is incorrect. So I will just copy and paste this actually. So this is the peering is actually in this case IBGP. So I will just copy and paste that command. So neighbor statement is incorrect. So if we check the BGP configuration, you might think that BGP configuration looks correct, but here you are actually using your neighbor statement. Your neighbor here is actually the physical address, and you mentioned here that the update source is coming from loopback, not the physical address, and this is the same on R2. So the solution here is actually either correct the loopback address in the neighbor statement or just remove the update source command from the configuration. So in this case, we are correcting the loopback address or just the neighbor address in the neighbor statement. That's what uh, that's what we are doing in this case here. Did we check the? No, I have not checked the neighbor status or the BGP state yet. So let me do that. So you see that BGP state is idle. So this is not going to come up because of the incorrect neighbor statement. So what I will do is basically just let me just remove BGP, the BGP process from R1, and I will do the same on R2. And I will just copy and paste this here. So this will come up. BGP will establish because now we are using the correct loopback address from R1 and from R2. And we're saying that yeah, it's, BGP has established or neighbor came up. And we are using again update source, I mean loopback as the update source for the BGP packet. Okay, and we can do the same command here. Yeah, so BGP is established, but we are not receiving any routes yet. And then if I go to R2, I will see the same. Yeah, and of course, if you want to BGP neighbors to see more details related to neighborship, you can issue this command. So we see that this is a this is internal link or IBGP. Okay, and you can of course you can do the same command on R1, right? We see that yeah, internal link as well. Okay, so let me remove the BGP process from R1, and I will do the same from R2. And I will also remove actually the static route. No, it's not. No, it's do. Yeah, do. So I'll remove the static route from R2 and I will remove the static route from R1. Okay, so we don't have a static route from R1 and BGP in BGP. So and we have the same on R2. Okay, so let's uh, discuss number two. Number two possible reason that can prevent BGP neighborship from getting established. So here, so it's gonna be in this case. In this case, we will have a ebgp peering between R1 and R2, because R1 is going to be using AS400 and R2 is going to be using AS300. So let me just copy and paste this command on R1, and I will do the same on R2. Just copy and paste. And I will do that command, show IPBGP summary. And we will see that BGP is not coming up. And if I check the BGP configuration, it looks correct. But if I actually ping R1, I'm able to ping it. Hold on. Oh, okay. Should be R2 actually. I mean this IP address. Yeah. So in here, we are not able to ping this loopback address of R2. So yeah, as the issue says, no routes to the neighbor address exist. Um, and let me just cancel that. If we check the routing table, we don't have any routes in the routing table to get to this IP address. So the solution to that issue is either include a route to the next hop in the include a route to the next hop in the BGP statement, neighbor statement. Um, yeah, so basically saying that we need to have a route in the routing table to get to this IP address here. So you can either configure a static route or dynamic route depending on the situation. And of course, in this case, we are using ebgp-multihop command because R1 and R2 are not using the physical addresses, so and they are using the loopback addresses to establish the neighborship between them. So this is the solution here. We just have to configure a route to that IP address here. And if we check the routing table, now we see a route to get to this network, which is via R2. And if we ping it, we should be able to ping it. Yes. And I will just copy and paste this command on R2. And check the the routing table. Okay, so now after configuring, the static routes on both routers, BGP came up. So that was the issue. No routes to get to the neighbor address. Okay. Third one is, let me actually number this. Number 2 and number 3. So I'm going to erase the BGP configuration on R1, and we'll do the same on R2. So that was a BGP peering, right? Yeah, I did not issue the show IP BGP summary, but it's fine. We saw that BGP came up using the loopback address. Okay, so number 3 is update source command is missing under BGP. So I will configure, let me just verify first. that. Yeah, so no configuration. Oops. Yeah, no configuration, no BGP configuration on both routers. So looks like we have to configure, we have to establish IBGP peering between R1 and R2. Okay. And we are using the loopback address to establish the neighborship. So in this case, we are using the loopback address, but uh, we are not specifying the source address. Right here, we saw it. The source, we have to also um, configure this update source when we are using the loopback address to establish the neighborship. And this is true for an IBGP peer and ebgp peer. So that's how we would solve this problem. And of course, we have to make sure that we have a route to get to that address, which is we do on R1 and we also do on R2. So I'm going to update um, I'm going to configure the update source command in the on both routers. So here, yeah, we have not configured the update source command on R1, and I'm going to do that now. And I'm also going to do the same on R2. Just copy paste that command. And if we check the BGP state, it's now established. And it should be the same on both routers. Yes. That's the first that's one solution that you can perform, and basically configuring the update source under BGP process. And number two is actually just use the physical address instead of the loopback address. So I'm going to do that as well. Just remove the loopback address. Going to do that. So R2 BGP 400. Going to remove this. I'm going to remove this under BGP. Okay, you don't have to do this command after you have done this. I'm going to do the same on R1 and just do show section BGP. Yeah, nothing. So now I'm going to just use the physical address of R2 and physical address of R1, and this should get the BGP neighborship established. Yeah, we see now it's established. Yeah, we see it. We see that it came up on R2, and we should see, yeah, here. Yeah, so BGP is established. Okay, that's it. I just wanted to lab this document. This is actually from cisco.com, obviously. This is the references that I used. Yeah, that's it in this video. I'll see you on the next one.